Hey everybody, it's Sam with Wrestling Overtime, and we are here with our Raves and Rants for Impact Wrestling, May 5th, 2020. Now, this is my second episode of this. I told you guys last week when we did Rebellion Night 2 that someone had wrote in and said, hey, why don't you do Impact? And I wrote them back and I said, because I don't watch it. I hit and miss it. If I know that Tessa Blanchard's going to be on there, a lot of times I tape it, I fast forward it, I watch her match. I kind of keep up with her storylines, and that's about it. So I have enjoyed Sami Callihan. And the person wrote me back and said, I really think you need to give it a shot. It's changing, and I think you're going to be able to get interested in it. And I told him, I said, all right, what I'll do, I'll try it for a month. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it works into my schedule. Because, I mean, it's adding another wrestling program that I have to watch, I have to write up, and then I have to talk to you guys about. But if I'm going to cover it, then I also want to cover it in like news and updates, and I want to make sure that I kind of know what I'm talking about. So it's just another wrestling promotion to kind of keep up with. And so I'm going to give it a month and see, number one, if I like it, but number two, if I can keep up with it. So far, so good. Today, I'm taping this on Wednesday night. You guys will probably be getting this on Thursday morning. So I'm a day and a half behind, and I'm sorry for that. But that's what I mean. I don't want to get too far behind. I don't want to be doing like Impact Wrestling, Raves and Rants on Saturday or anything like that. So I want to make sure that I can keep it up and keep it in my schedule. So let's kind of get started. We had Josh Matthews and Madison Rayne on commentary, and I'll tell you what, after listening to them last week at Rebellion Night 2 and then listening to them tonight, I really enjoy them. I like their back and forth arguing and fighting, and Madison Rayne, of course, liking the heels, and Josh Matthews just being indignant. And they can't do that. I like that. That brings us back to kind of the older days of wrestling. I remember when JR used to do that and say, that's against the rules, So I really do enjoy that. They captured me right off the bat tonight. They really did, because like I said, I do tape Impact Wrestling, and like I said, if Tessa Blanchard's going to be on there, I have been following her storyline with Sami Callihan. So tonight, Sami Callihan started the show, and so I already knew him, kind of knew his story with OVE and everything, so they immediately, boom, caught my attention. He comes out, his music hits, and he is limping a little bit. They show Rebellion Night 1, which is what I missed. He took on Ken Shamrock, and Ken Shamrock, it looks like, put a hurting on him. He actually had him, it appeared to be an ankle lock, and he was trying to get Sami to tap out. You could definitely see that Sami was in a lot of pain, and I guess he passed out. And the referee called it because when he went to raise his hand, Sami couldn't control it and it smacked to the ground. So he called the match. Sami gets out in the ring and immediately says, look, I did not tap out at all to Ken Shamrock. It was 2 weeks ago. He got me in this ankle lock, and I did not quit. I did not tap. And he said, I just want to make that clear that he did not get the best of me. I held my own with Ken Shamrock, and he calls Ken Shamrock out. And of course, I'm very well aware of Ken Shamrock from following, MMA, UCF. He's been in Bellator. He has been on commentary. Um, he's been in wrestling. I think at one point he had a podcast. I mean, Ken Shamrock has basically been everywhere. So when he comes out, I immediately recognize him. I know who he is, and I pretty much know how he acts. So I wasn't surprised by that or anything like that. And Shamrock immediately agrees with Sammy that no, you never tapped out. And I kind of look at it in one of two ways. He told Sammy is that we can go back outside and continue fighting like we were at Rebellion until we settle this, or we can both say, hey, we had a really good match and we can just go after what we both want, which is the Impact World Championship, and we can just go after Tessa. And he holds out his hand for Sammy to shake it. And of course, in my mind, I'm like, he is a weasel. But, when you think about it, so is Sammy. And because I was wanting to say, Sammy, don't shake his hand, he's awful. But then you think about it, and Sammy's kind of the same type. And it looked like Sammy was possibly going to shake his hand to go after the World Championship. But Michael Eglin's music hits. And of course, he comes out with his swagger and his cockiness and immediately starts talking about how, he's the one that draws fans. The fans love him. He should be after the World Championship. These two, Sammy's already had his shot at it and basically lost. Shamrock's old and doesn't need it, and how that is his goal and he's going after it, basically. Shamrock just immediately wants to fight. Pretty much challenges him. And of course, Sammy, being the smart aleck that he is, says, even if you got a title shot or you went up against one of us, all you're going to do is choke. You always choke. So Eglin just loses it. He immediately takes a swing at Sammy and knocks him. He hits Shamrock with his forearm, obviously, and Shamrock goes to go after him, and Eglin gets out of the ring. So as he's backing away and leaving, Sammy and Shamrock are in the ring, and Callahan pulls out his phone, looks like he swipes or slides across his phone, and boom, the arena goes dark. And then boom, the lights go on, and Sammy's gone. So Shamrock's just kind of looking around like, what in the world just happened, and where did Sammy go? What is going on? And of course, I kind of have that feeling. This is only my second week, and I'm thinking, is Sammy like a master hacker now? Or did he hook that up? Did he get somebody to hook that up? Why did he disappear? Where did he go? I've got all those things going through my head. But immediately, Impact is ready to go talk to Chris Bay. I saw Chris Bay last week. Was a little impressed with him. He has a lot of athletic talent. And I just found his promo style not real great. he kind of rambled on a little bit and said that he's going to become the next X Division champion from Willie Mack, and that he is going to do it using finesse. And so I don't really understand that. I guess maybe that's like one of his taglines or something, because he's then going to change it from the X Division to the finesse division. And to me, that doesn't make sense. So I don't know if he's a finesse wrestler, but I also don't know what a finesse wrestler really is. But anyway, they go to commercial, come back, and we've got Willie Mack. And I remember Willie Mack from Ring of Honor, and I wasn't real impressed with him there. He's okay. I hate the comb, the pick, or whatever you want to call it, in the top of his fro. I can't stand that. But to each their own, whatever. But I'm just like, is that a fashion statement, or I really don't get it. But Willie Mack didn't really say anything other than he's just gonna give a big boot to Chris Bay's ass. And I was like, okay. And I think his promo disappointed me a little bit, because it's either on par for his Ring of Honor promos, or it may even be a little worse. And so I guess that's the part that disappoints me, is I don't feel like he's gotten any better. And, I'm going to watch him wrestle. He wrestles later tonight. So we'll see. But his promos, they didn't impress me. So then we get a tag team match. And, of course, from watching Sami Callihan, I am familiar with OVE. But I didn't realize they show it that Sami Callihan had kind of broke with OVE because he doesn't want help. He wants to do it alone. So tonight, OVE, which was Madman Fulton and Jake Chris, were taking on Triple X Large. But Dave Chris was out, I guess, helping them, cheering them on, or whatever, basically helping them. I like Jake Chris. I don't know why. I like his wrestling style, I think. I liked his backing Sammy up in the whole feud the little bits of it that I watched. Dave and Madman are, I don't know, kind of in it for themselves. It seems like OVE was something to get them to where they wanted to go. I don't know how loyal they were to what Sammy was trying to do. And they talked a little bit about that in the match, how maybe OVE was better. It is better now without Sami Callihan being their leader, because it allows them to do more freeform and really not have a plan. And that kind of showed. Because Triple XL beat them. Larry D just, hit that right hand, and that's all she went. They beat OVE fairly easy. And like I said, Dave Chris tried to interfere and get them the win, but it wasn't working. That's for sure. I was real impressed with Triple XL. For big man, they're pretty athletic. They said that one guy is like 420 pounds. I swear he looks like he weighs more than that. But maybe not. I don't know. But they are super athletic and super powerful. We then go to the locker room talk. Now, they mentioned that this is the second episode of locker room talk. And I guess I was a little surprised that Madison Rain is hosting it with Johnny Swinger. Um, Madison Rain always, in everywhere I've seen her and everything, seems to want to portray herself as entitled, better than everyone else, more of a know-it-all, and that she likes to play games. I don't get that feeling from Johnny Swinger. So, like I said, I was a little shocked that they were doing locker room talk together, and some of the jokes that Johnny Swinger made, you could see Madison kind of ruffle at. Um, I don't know if it's the same guy. It definitely looks like the same guy that was in WCW, which would put him, fairly old. But not real impressed with Johnny Swinger. He didn't really, I don't know, bring a lot to the locker room talk. Their guest tonight was Havoc, and Madison Rain didn't really let Havoc talk. She was doing some rapid fire questions, and I think she was trying to poke at Havoc a little bit, but Havoc ended up kind of threatening her almost. So that led to Madison asking about Havoc's match last week with Rosemary, that Nevaeh showed up. And they're still not really saying who Nevaeh is to Havoc. Havoc kind of mentions that she's a friend, and that no, she didn't know that she was going to be there. But Madison Rain acts like she knows a lot more about the story than what she wants to tell. And I guess that's got me a little intrigued. I want her to spill her guts, and I thought that maybe she would do it here in her own show and locker room talk, but she didn't, because she said that she had a surprise for Havoc. And I thought, oh my gosh, she's gonna bring this Nevaeh chick out, and they're gonna have, a tussle. But no, she brings out Kimberly. I am not familiar with Kimberly. I've heard that name. I don't want you to think that I haven't heard the name. I have. But as far as I know, I've never watched her wrestle in any promotion that I think that I've seen. So a little bit interested in watching her wrestle. Havoc wasn't happy about it. Havoc was pretty much just done with locker room talk after that. Well, when we come back, we see Johnny Swinger having a match, and he's going up against Suicide. And when TNA was around, different people have played Suicide. So I'm going to be real honest with you. When Suicide came out, was a little excited. Last week during Rebellion, it was the very first match. It was a fatal 4-way, and I don't guess I was watching, or it was registering with me that Suicide actually took place in that match. But if you have followed Suicide's career, many different people have played him. I know Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniel at one point did. I want to say TJ Perkins did too. I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to think. I think there was one more person that played him. And then it was like he disappeared. And I haven't watched Impact in years, so I'm not sure when Suicide come back. And I don't know who Suicide is right now. I guess I need to look that up and research that a little bit about who is playing him now. Is it TJP? I don't know. But anyway, to see him in a match with Johnny Swinger was a little bit interesting because, like I said, I was watching, thinking, "Oh, wonder who that is." Was not impressed with Johnny Swinger. He is old. Movements definitely are jerky. His moveset is not smooth or natural. Um, Liked that at the beginning of the match, Swinger was telling the ref to check Suicide for weapons. And of course, Madison Rain was taking up for him as far as saying, he's covered from head to toe. There could be a lot of places for him to hide a weapon. But as soon as the ref went to check him, Suicide was kind of holding his arms up so the ref could do that. And Swinger surprised him and just kind of attacked him. He tried to, at one time, to rip off his mask, and I actually enjoyed a lot of Suicide's moves and taking advantage of Johnny Swinger. It was definitely obvious that there was an age difference and a skill set difference. Suicide ended up hitting the Codebreaker like Jericho, and then to me, he looked like he did Jeff Hardy's Swanton Bomb. And then, of course, pin Swinger for the win. But I probably need to go back and watch that. I know he hit the Codebreaker, but like I said, it looks like a Swanton Bomb that he did right after that. And so that does really intrigue me then, because I'm thinking, who has the skill set that would be an Impact? Maybe it's a new kid. Maybe they've called someone up from somewhere, I don't know, that could do a Codebreaker and wants to do a Swanton Bomb or something like that. I don't know. Then they immediately go backstage and we see this guy, Ace Austin. I guess he used to be the X Division champion. From what he was saying, he was putting down Chris Bay, basically saying that he couldn't believe that he was asking, or telling Willie Mack that he was going to take him on tonight for the X Division championship, and that he didn't deserve a chance. And then he said, "I'm invoking my rematch clause," which is what led me to believe that he was the X Division champion, and we're going to make it into a triple threat. And, that's when they announced that was going to be the main event. And I'm not excited about that. I'm just going to be real honest with you. Chris Bay was in that Fatal 4-Way that I was talking about that Suicide was in last week at Rebellion Night 2, and just really wasn't impressed with him. And this Ace Austin guy, I'm definitely not impressed with. I'm shocked he can string a sentence together. And then I've told you how I feel about Willie Mack. So Impact's not getting off on a good start with me as far as I don't like their main event. But anyway, we see Josh Matthews sitting down, looks like in maybe a lodge or something, to interview Moose, who has his TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And he thinks he is the champion because he's faced a lot of the greats that have been in the company for a while and have beat them. And I'm not sure about that logic. I like how Josh Matthews is like, where did you get that belt? And Moose doesn't really wanna answer that. It piqued my interest a little bit. Josh Matthews said something about him being a former football player, so I do want to look that up and find out who he played for and everything like that. But then they make the announcement that there's gonna be a number one contenders tournament for the Impact World Championship. so that they will have a number one contender when Tessa Blanchard comes back. And I was like, oh, okay, so they're going to get into a tournament, and I'm going to get to know maybe a couple of them or something like that. And so I was a little excited about that. But I guess was thrown. Moose is like, yeah, I don't want to be in that. Because that's a step down for me. And Josh Matthews kind of had the same reaction I did and was like, say what? And Moose is like, I'm the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And the Impact World Champion is below that. And I was like, oh, really? Because you wrestle for Impact Wrestling, not TNA Wrestling. But whatever, I'm getting the feeling that Moose might be a little bit off his rocker. Then we get Joseph P. Ryan, which is Joey Ryan, going up against Cousin Jake, which is a rematch from last week, and I don't understand why they had a rematch. And I'm still not really getting why Joey Ryan of the Penis Party, who, tried to flip people with his penis, is now dressing up like a dork or a nerd or whatever and is trying to cancel things. Because Josh Matthews even teases Madison Rayne and says, well, maybe he'll go after locker room talk and get it canceled. And that just pisses her off. And so I enjoyed that part. But as far as this match, I am about as interested in it as I was last week, which is 0. And of course, again, Joey Ryan wins. Now, he wasn't pretty much the whole entire match, but the referee got distracted, and so it allowed Joseph P. Ryan to poke Cousin Jake in the eye and roll him up for the win. And so I hope that's over, because these two don't really interest me. But I would be interested if they would tell me what Joseph P. Ryan's story is, and that he would get in a program with someone that I was interested in. We then meet Kiera Hogan, Shanna, and is kind of walking through the streets of Atlanta and saying that it inspires her and all of that. And then at the end says she's the girl on fire. And I'm like, does the girl on fire, that song, have anything to do with Atlanta? I'm thinking that it doesn't. And I've never heard of Kiera Hogan and didn't recognize her. So just kind of wondering what that has to do. Is that the song she's going to come out to, or what exactly were we introducing there? What is she going to do? Now, they had been talking on and off throughout the night that the North, which I don't know who they are, was going to actually, they had been caught up in the travel ban. They are in Canada, and they're going to wrestle up there. They're going to wrestle the Creeps in Canada, and that they're going to put the Impact Tag Team titles on the line. And I was like, okay. Well, they show a picture of them, and I'm like, oh, the guy on the left looks really familiar. And immediately when they introduce them, the guy that's doing the announcing in Canada is the hype man, basically. He introduces the North, and they come out, and I'm like, oh, that's Ethan Page. I was introduced to Ethan Page on the Viceland series they did called The Wrestlers. And in that, they talked to Ethan Page, and they talked to Darby Allin. Austin Theory was in it. There were quite a few wrestlers that have come out of on the indie circuit that they were taping that particular episode and are now in some big promotions. And I did not realize that Ethan Page was part of the North now. I followed him a little. I thought he was still in MLW. So really shocked me a little bit that he is now part of the North and is a tag team champion. So I definitely wanted to watch them. The only issue is the people they were taking on. Yeah, my arms are bigger than their legs. They were awful. It was a very quick match that lasted, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes. They played around with them a lot, and it really wasn't worth even showing. So, just, I don't know. Last week we saw Rosemary at the bar talking to Tara Valkyrie on the phone. We see her at the bar this week, and so I just automatically made the assumption that she was going to call Tara, and she wasn't. She was playing with tarot cards. I couldn't see the tarot cards real well, but she was kind of telling you which ones she was turning over and what she interpreted them to mean, and she was trying to figure out what is next for her. And I thought we came to a real set conclusion what's next for her. Then we go to an interview where Ragu, I think is how you pronounce his name, has decided that, hey, if Moose doesn't want to be in the tournament, then I want to take his place. I don't understand why you guys didn't put me in the tournament to begin with to go for Tessa's title, but I want to take Moose's place. Well, I guess somebody heard that and put him in, because when they come back from commercial, they announce that the tournament is actually starting next week, and next week we're going to see Ragu against Trey, and I don't think I know who that is. Now, I may once I see him, but Ragu's going to take on Trey, and then Madman Fulton is going to take on Hernandez, and then on the other two matches that they're not showing next week, I'm assuming they're going to be the week after, are the ones that I want to see, because we're going to have Ken Shamrock versus Rhino, and I am definitely familiar with both of those, and I think that's going to be a really good match. And then we're going to have Sami Callihan versus Michael Eglin, and I assume that they would put them not in a first round match, but on opposite sides, so that maybe they could meet in the finals. So really, really shocked that next week we've got two matches with people I could care less about. And then we've got these two first-round matches of Sammy, like I said, against Eglin, and Shamrock versus Rhino. And I'm thinking that could have been your Final Four. But you're putting them in first-round matches against each other. Interesting situation. They announced that Havoc is going to take on Kimberly, that she met in Locker Room Talk, and I was like, okay. And then they say the main event next week is going to be Moose versus Suicide for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. So since they're kind of billing it as that, does that mean that they're recognizing that this is a championship since Tessa's stuck in Mexico? I don't know. But next week I know I'm going to be watching because I said I wanted to give it a month, and next week will be week 3. So I am going to root for Suicide. But then we get, of course, the main event match. And it's a triple threat match of Willie Mack versus Chris Bay versus Ace Austin for the X Division Championship. And like I said, I don't really care about this match. I do know Willie Mack. I know who he is. I don't really like him. And the other two guys I really don't know, and it was really hard for me to get into this match. I didn't find like it was real interesting. I didn't think any of them wowed me. I don't think any of their moves really wowed me or anything like that. Willie Mack ended up winning doing a frog splash on the crazy-haired Austin guy to keep his championship, and he acted like he was mad about it. Oh well, I don't care. So week 3 will be next week. I'm gonna give this a shot, but I'm gonna tell you that I'm hoping that week 4, which will definitely make my decision, is Sammy versus Michael Eglin and Ken Shamrock versus Rhino, and I'm looking forward to that already. I think both of those are going to be good matches. My question is, do they not have women's matches on every show? I know they call it the Knockouts division. Do they not have very many knockouts? And my next question is, I know Tessa got engaged. Where's Dago? And where's Tessa? I understand Tessa is in Mexico. She's an American citizen. She can come back. She may have to quarantine, but she can come back. So I just don't understand why she's not here. Is she doing something for AAA? Because I thought Lucha Libre AAA was not doing any shows. I saw where Tessa and Dago have now opened up their website. I think it's called Diamonds and the Dagger, or the Diamond and the Dagger. I don't know, something like that. But it's time for you to come home, Tessa. It's time for you to make Impact Wrestling interesting. So it's time for you to come home. So there is my Raves and Rants. It's more of confusion and trying to figure out things right now, and I'm sorry for that. I'm doing some research and trying to figure out who people are and what their storylines are and everything. Maybe it's interesting for you guys to hear me wonder around about this. I don't know. But we have gotten 2 weeks out of 4 done, and so far it's not going bad. But if you guys have any questions, comments, anything that I can do to make this better, or whether you think I should just give it up. Maybe you hate Impact Wrestling. You think this is a big waste of time. I don't know. Let me know. You can reach me at wrestlingovertime@gmail.com, or like I always say, you guys can hit me up on Twitter or on our Facebook page on Wrestling Overtime anytime you want. The Facebook page, of course, you can always messenger me and I will holler at you guys. But that's kind of it. All I can ask is that you guys subscribe to the podcast to get the latest updates. I want to say thank you for going ahead and listening. Please rate and review the show at Podchaser, and I will talk to you guys soon.